This is a disaster. Not only did the Calgary Flames lose a pivotal matchup that they sincerely deserved to win against the Dallas Stars, young star Connor Zary went down with what appears to be a very serious injury. Adding insult to injury, the Flames lose a crucial 2 points in the Western Conference playoff race, as 2 of the teams they're trying to catch both won as well. After this season was a lot of fun, hope is looking bleak, and this whole season may be a waste. I know that's a little negative, but that's the reality of how it is. We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family, and that's where my smile will end, as we need to talk about last night's game. And this was a very interesting game. The Flames, of course, were hosting the Dallas Stars. You know, it's exciting times. There's a little bit of a buzz around the city. The playoff race is heating up like crazy. The Flames are hot, 4 straight comeback wins. And this happens. A 5-2 loss to the Dallas Stars at home. And it was gutting because the Flames deserved to win this game. They outshot the Stars like crazy in this one. Had a couple goals called back. At least one of them was pretty controversial. It probably should have been a goal. Interesting overall, and we're going to talk about that and obviously way more. But let's just take a look at some of the stats here. So like I said, the Flames outshot the Stars 48-19 in this game. More than doubled the shots, and they could only get 2 goals. It wasn't even Ottinger in net. We didn't need to do, our little superpowers against him that we had to do back in the 2022 playoffs. This was Casey DeSmith in net, and hey, hats off to him. He played well. He really gave up 4 goals, as we know. But still, the Flames really outplayed them. Again, face-off's not the best. The penalty kill did its job. The power play got one. It would have been nice to get more, obviously. They out-hit them, and as we saw before, they completely outshot them. But like I said, there was some controversy around this one. Here's a couple quotes. So certainly feel like we got robbed tonight. Certainly I thought they were both goals. I mean, that stuff happens in the playoffs. Someone's getting exposed. That's from Nazem Kadri on the 2 goals overturned by video review. So both were called goals on the ice, and one certainly more than the other really seemed like it was a goal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Blake Coleman kind of shot it, and Farabee was in front of DeSmith and didn't really interfere with him, but of course it gets called back. Here's another quote from Pickles. So, you got guys working their ass off out there and giving everything they got, and you're scoring goals, and you got somebody sitting behind a desk just making a judgment call that influences the game. 2 of them that I thought you could put those clips side by side with a ton of different goals this year and all time, really. And you're going to get different answers on every goal. So that's the ambiguity of the sport. And there's sometimes they go in your favor and sometimes they don't. And that's from Blake Coleman. And he's obviously thought he had a goal last night and it would have been a huge one. It just doesn't make any sense, does it? Here's one explanation. There's no other explanation other than Dennis Wideman, once upon a time, concussed a linesman and ended his career, and it has haunted the Flames ever since. So that was in a reply to, obviously, Valji here tweeting that Joel Farabee said post-game, the ref told him, had Blake Coleman's shot been glove side, it would have counted. What the heck does that even mean? For Farabee to be sharing that with us, I commend him. He's not afraid of any fines. Not that I think he'll be fined for that comment. But are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? If Blake Coleman had shot it at the other side of the net, it wouldn't have been interference and it would have counted. That makes absolutely no sense to anyone. I don't even think Stars fans can defend that. So the only explanation, of course, here is, of course, the Dennis Wideman curse, which we thought we were finally starting to get past a little bit, but there's been so many instances this season that now it just seems like it doesn't explain it. This was a huge game for the Flames against one of the top dogs in the West to stay alive in the Western Conference playoff race, and it honestly, like the players are saying, they kind of got robbed here, which really, it's just super unfortunate. Let's look at some positives. Look at least the box score, not the top part of it. As Dustin Wolf gives 4 goals on 19 shots. He made some good saves in this one, but no one can say that he had a game worth, getting the win, other than what happened with the Flames offense and goals not counting. But the .789 save percentage, not great. The 4.14 goals against average. It's just another negative after another, but it kind of seems like he's lost his case for the Calder at this point. Celebrini's just unreal, and I think Lane Hudson will probably most likely end up winning the award anyway, but man, it's just brutal. But let's stick to the positives. Kadri, at least he stayed hot. He got a couple goals on the night. You know, he's ridiculous. I believe that's 7 goals in his last 5 games now. He's on fire. Zary got an assist before his injury, of course. Frost, Pospisil, and Huberdeau all picking up an apple each on the night as well. Pospisil was throwing the body around. Look at those 5 hits as well. But there's your skaters who got on the score sheet. At least there was something. But like I said in the intro, adding insult to injury, well, really injury itself. Let's talk about this Zary injury because it was a scary looking play. A play that my dad was quick to point out it kind of happens in football all the time where a guy kind of slides on behind, maybe trying to make a tackle or something, or usually it's, you know, an O-lineman moving backwards and it goes on the quarterback or something, but your leg gets pushed back, gets caught under you, and it just buckles your knee. But Connor Zary gets tangled up with Mikko Rantanen and goes down in an incredible amount of pain. He's holding his knee. Obviously, that's from Robert Munich there, or Munich. I never know how to pronounce your name, man. I'm sorry. He says, I'm not going to post the video because it's ugly. It really is. It's kind of gross to look at if you're a little squeamish. I wouldn't recommend it. But the win column, they were quick to tweet out, that is beyond serious for Zary. And Yegor Sharangovich replaced Breadman, tweeted, Zary can't catch a break, man. It truly was gutting to see all the hard work Zary put in to get back from his original knee injury against the Ducks, and just to have one again is really terrible. But not all the news, you know, is absolutely awful. Here was Huska, his quote on Zary after the game last night. So this is a quote from last night. He said, it's hard to watch. You don't ever want to see a player go through that. See how hard they work to come back with their rehab to try to put themselves in a position to come back. So our hope now is that the work that he's done has strengthened his knee up enough so that the injury isn't serious. We won't know more until later on as to what it's actually going to look like, but we're hopeful, I will say. Which is, I mean, staying optimistic, there's some positives in there. This was obviously last night before anything was really done today. And at the time of recording today, there hasn't really been much either, but there's a little bit of an update. Darren Drager here said, further testing and imaging required to determine the extent of the injury. However, the initial assessment offered some encouragement regarding Connor Zary's knee. Tough scene last night following an awkward collision with Rantanen. So again, some positives there. When you watch the play and you see Zary just writhing in pain on the ice after you think, well, obviously the season's not much longer, so it's going to be a season-ending injury no matter what, but this looked terrible. It looked worse than the original one against the Ducks, so it really looked bad. It looked like, oh, he could be out for, you know, this year and next year, one of those scary-looking things. But early signs are that this is maybe a little bit better. Maybe his knee is a little bit stronger because of the original injury, which usually isn't the case, but you never know. And I thought Logan Gordon here put it best. So he put, it is legit gutting to see Connor Zary down with another injury. And it truly is. After how hard he worked to come back, just how hard he works in general, how good of a player he is, how good of a person he is, it just sucks to see him go down like that. But again, fingers crossed this isn't as bad as it originally looked, just like the last time this did happen. Now let's keep the disaster going and do a little playoff update here, as not only did the Flames lose last night, but a couple of out-of-town scoreboard watching games were needed, and both didn't go our way. Yes. The Capitals, they had the lead, I believe, going into the third period of this game, but the Minnesota Wild beat the Capitals 4-2. Not great. We wanted Minnesota to lose. And the Predators, same thing. They had the lead in this one as well. Those 2-1 leads are cursed, I guess. They might have even been up 2-0. But the Preds lose to the Blues 3-2. So both the Blues and the Wild getting some wins. Not ideal. If we bring up the standings now, the Flames are... they're 6 points behind the Blues now with 3 games in hand. So do the math. Technically, if you win those games, you're tied. But the Blues would have the ROW tiebreaker ahead of the Flames, which isn't fantastic. The Canucks are even ahead of the Flames. 1 more point, but the Flames do have a game in hand. In Minnesota, I mean, they were slipping a little bit, but that kind of win against essentially the league's best team this year was kind of huge for them. So they stay 8 points up on the Flames, even with just 2 games in hand for the Flames there. So not ideal. Let's bring up the money puck wheel to see how it's going. And remember, before going into yesterday, the Flames had a 33% chance to make the playoffs. It has dwindled down to just 18%. So a 15% point swing last night with all 3 of those results. I mean, Minnesota now at 92%, the Blues at 73%. It's too bad, but that's just the way it is. Even the Canucks leapfrogged the Flames in percentage there. Yeah, they did, 19.2%. That is just not ideal. Overall, I mean, like the video says, this is a disaster. Hopefully the whole season won't be wasted and the Flames finish, 9th or 10th and don't get their first round pick this year. They have to ship it to Montreal. because there was so much hope going into the offseason, but I guess that's just how it is as Flames fans, and we should be used to it. But let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. It comes from the most recent video on the channel, and it was actually commented after the game last night, and it's just, I mean, this is how it goes. So R. Dunkley, he said, "That's it. It's over. The playoffs are now out of reach after tonight's loss and St. Louis's win. Too many points behind with not enough games to catch up. Time to tank and go down in the standings to save our #1 draft pick. The boys played well and tried hard tonight, but it just didn't go their way. They came up short, and now it's time to be realistic and do what's best for the team's future, and this year's playoffs are not in their future. They soon will be, though. Time to tank and move up in the draft." So, I mean, it's a realistic way to look at it. It's not the most positive thing ever, but at least there is still hope for the future, just not this year's future. You know, Zary being out, it's funny what happens once Michael Backlund's back in. I'm just kidding. I absolutely love backs. But overall, it does kind of stink. It was just one of those nights, one of the, least ideal nights that could happen. But hey, whatever. Like I said before, we're Flames fans. We should be used to it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.